Okay, so today's video is about building a website with AI. And it got a little bit inspired by some talks that I had with people around me. And I realized most people don't realize how easy it has gotten to build a website. Sometimes people are at this point where they say, I need a website. And then they don't really know how, and they do some research. But the good news is all of this has gotten so easy, so much easier that it's really a no-brainer. In certain cases, you really need a website because you have a business and there's just no way around it. But there's some use cases where you don't really need a website, but it could be cool to have one. For example, you want to showcase your photography, your art, or whatever it might be. And in these cases, it's a definite yes. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, let's do it because it's literally that easy. And to show you how easy that is, I can actually show you a website that I just built last month. And the story here is that I was traveling in Sri Lanka. I was about to rent a scooter at this shop here. And I was talking to the guy and we realized his entire marketing is just this Google Maps listing. He doesn't have a website, nothing. And I told him, because I knew it's literally going to take me 10 minutes, how about I build you a website? And this is what I did. And again, this really did not take long at all with the method that I'm going to show you now. And we got a website that looks pretty decent, very modern website with all the style, showcasing what he's offering. And all we had to do is use a method that I'll show you today and maybe download all the images that we find here, ask Gemini to summarize the reviews, do a quick ChatGPT research on what do people in Sri Lanka care about. And then you put all of that in and you see all of the images from Google Maps, the scooters that he has, different services, for example, laundry. You see it has everything that a website needs for this use case. And I think this use case shows you, again, how easy it has gotten. So it becomes a no-brainer for you to build your own website. And this is going to be a 3-part series, but to be honest, 90% of everything is going to be in part 1. If you just want a website just like this, a normal website, this is all you need. And the easiest way to structure it is first the setup, then how to use it, and then later maybe how to iterate and perfect it. And also here, the setup might be the only hard part. We do it all together, but once it's done, this is all you need. All the other parts is just very self-explanatory and will come very easy afterwards. So let's look into the first part, and this is about the setup. And maybe here to explain again is when you're at this moment, I need a website, and then you don't know how, you'll do some research. And there's a lot of methods out there. And I mean, we're way past the time where you have to be a developer or hire a developer to do a website. Some of you might remember WordPress. This was the beginning of I don't need to be a developer to have a website. And then later, this became a lot easier because this was quite the messy interface. And we had these drag and drop tools, Wix, you might know, Squarespace. This was all over YouTube. All the YouTubers were advertising it. And these basically are drag and drop tools. So it also makes it quite easy to just drag and drop your website. There's no code needed, but you still need to think about what elements do I even need? Where do I start? You have that blank canvas in the beginning. And then you also need to drag and drop everything in the right place. Not all that hard, but again, nowadays, so much easier. It's not quite there yet that you get it done in 15 minutes. And then more recently, and this is what we have here, we have these AI tools. AI has made everything much easier. We literally just prompt and it happens. And this is what these tools do. But there's also a little bit of a difference. And I talk to you later also about why we choose this one. And the big difference is maybe in these two categories, here and here. And again, there's probably 10, 20 different ones here. There's a few ones here. But the broad difference here is that Lovable, for example, what you might know, V0, is living in the browser. You log in, you create an account, and you can type away in natural language and build your website this way. Here, you download a software and you work on your computer. We're opting for the downloading part and specifically Cursor. I'll tell you later, there's different options, but this is the easiest. So go ahead and download Cursor because this is our chosen method today. And now the question why? It's for free and it's with an asterisk because Lovable and all of these, they also have a free tier. So you do get away with building your website for free. However, at some point you might hit a paywall and then you're stuck. And this brings us to the next point. You're locked in. So you have your account, you have everything there, you have your website created there. So later, if they're changing their fees, anything happens, you want to have a specific domain or any case that might happen, you're locked into their software here. With the method that we're using here, everything is on your computer and everything is yours. So this for free and no lock-in, very obvious parts. But for me, the most important part is actually this part, that with this method, you're connected to your favorite LLM. It usually runs on Claude or ChatGPT. And also you can use it for all the research part around it. It's not only build me a website, but for example, in this case, what we saw here, do some quick research on what tourists in Sri Lanka actually care about. So then, for example, when we have an FAQ question here, all of these things is something that I've done with my research through ChatGPT, through Claude, whatever you might be using. So you are directly connected to these LLMs and you have everything out the box. And again, we want to minimize thinking. We really want to get it done in 15 minutes. So this way we leverage all the power and just put it all together here in the website. So go ahead, download Cursor, and we look into the next part and understand how we best use it. Okay, so now in the second step, how do we actually use it? Now that we have Cursor downloaded, we're right here. This is the interface that we see. And there's a free plan, and in the beginning, this is totally fine for you. So what we need to do now is we open a project. Find a folder structure where you want to save it. I have my software development here. You create a new folder and you say website. So now we have this here and we open it and it will open this window for us. Here we can toggle a few things. For example, on the left side, we will see here, this is our Scooter web. This is where we will write our website, but this is the window that we care about. This is your chat. This is where you start. And this is where everything happens. Treat it like you would ChatGPT. Whenever you don't understand something, ask questions, right? So we can literally go ahead here and we say, build a very basic website for a local scooter rental in Sri Lanka, right? And now we can send this. There's different ways to do it. You can go into plan mode, which will just back and forth ask you questions to maybe further specify all of this. But for now, let's just look what happens. And generally, I would suggest the plan mode because it just makes sure that you don't forget anything and you can have a back and forth. So make sure to use this one usually. Okay, so now I wanted to spare the wait. It took 2 minutes, but it's finished. The basic website is ready. Now it tells us, obviously, to customize it. We literally took one prompt. So maybe there's a lot of benefit in specifying a little bit more. You can also use a microphone here and just, as I told you in the plan mode, just yap away and discuss your idea with Cursor. And then it also tells you run it locally. This is not needed. You can also just go into the folder that we created before. Remember, this was here in software development for me, Scooter Web. You have your HTML file. You can double click it and it will open it and you see the basic website that it created for you. This doesn't look all that great because we literally gave it one prompt. Discuss your idea, say what you want, and you will get much better result. Here, why would it tell us run it in the local server? This seems all scary and technical at first, but it's really not at all, because this is just maybe a way to get closer to the actual website later, how it behaves to run in the browser. But here it tells you run it locally from the project folder. If you don't understand, simply ask, can you do this for me? And this is again the beauty that Cursor on your computer actually has access to the computer. So look at this, it's already running on your machine. Go to this URL and you have your live preview of the website. So you go here and this is your link right now and you will see this running on your machine, and anything that we say now, for example, change the title to best scooter in Sri Lanka. And so now we see it's done. Bam, best scooter in Sri Lanka. So as you see, this is how easy it is. You just go back and forth here in this chat window and you vibe yourself to your own website. And now we go back and we see this was the build phase, this was the run phase. And you see I tagged the terminal here, but we don't even need the terminal because Cursor is like an LLM. You can just ask it to do anything. It will do it for you. But just for you to understand a little bit the concept of we build a website, we need to run it, and then we can preview, and this is what you saw on the local host, right? This can be 3,000, this can be 8,000. This is the way you preview it. It looks like your real website, and then you can change from there onwards. One thing that's maybe important also to note here, it could be that you're just building a simple website in HTML, something that we did right now here, HTML. Sometimes if you have a little bit more of an ambitious project, you would probably go for a different framework. Usually this will be Node.js. In this case, you might have to install a dependency, this is what they call it, to be able to run this on your computer this way. because HTML is something that the browser, any browser understands, but for Node.js, we might need a little bit of a translation. This is also not all that complicated. In this case, probably you will try and you will see something is not working, and then you can just ask ChatGPT, or in this case here, Cursor, why is it not working? It will tell you, please install the dependencies, give you a link, and will tell you here, go here, literally you download it, and that's it, right? And again, just ask, you will see where this is happening, but for simple HTML pages that we have here right now, it's very easy. So this finishes this part, how to use it. We have the step here, building everything in Cursor, running locally on your server, and then this is how you preview it, and then you can adjust it. There's even a function here in Cursor where you can open the browser. What was it here? Localhost 8000. You have a browser right in here. So technically, you could just preview everything here and see live what's happening. So, if you only give it one prompt, this is a website that you get. If you want a website that looks a little bit more like this, it's also not all that hard. You just need to provide a little bit more context. This might be a little bit scary in the beginning, having a blank canvas and saying, okay, I know I want a website, but where do I even start? So I don't want to leave you without anything. And I think maybe if you just start with 4 basic questions, this is already going to get you really far. So what is a website? Is it going to be a cafe website? Is it going to be a scooter website, what we just discussed? Who's it for? What's the target audience? And then this in brackets, sections or must-haves. So for example, for the website here, I knew that we need to display all the different services, laundry, tours, adventure, all of these things. I also knew that I want to incorporate all of the pictures from Google Maps. So these are kind of hard must-haves. And sometimes you might be saying, oh, I definitely need a section for my gallery or for the reviews or for the FAQs. So just think about it along these terms of must-haves and sections. And then lastly, the style. Here, I would just let Cursor or any LLM do the heavy lifting and say a modern state-of-the-art website, right? So we'll make sure that we have usually a really big hero section with one picture. This is quite modern these days. So if you have a blank page, not a problem. At least these 4 questions. Discuss it with ChatGPT, use voice messages, do a little bit of back and forth, use the plan mode here, as we said, and you will get to a website with a lot more quality than this, maybe in 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so this is already pretty much it, as promised, really in no time. There's one alternative that I also want to propose when we come to the setup. We said we're opting for Cursor, and this is totally fine. If you're happy with this, don't even watch the rest. But there is also an alternative. And why am I proposing this? It is because many of you might already have a subscription with either ChatGPT or Claude or any of the LLMs. And the good thing is, if you pay the 20 euro, $20, whatever it might be, you can already leverage this and use it to build a website, right? So you have access to these higher models, whether it's Opus in Claude or ChatGPT 5.4, right? Whatever might be the newest model that comes out. And for this, it's important to understand is that we're basically having an IDE, the development environment, integrated development environment. This is what we just downloaded, right? This is the environment in which we develop. This could be Cursor, this can be VS Code, there are several ones. And then we have the AI. So Cursor has its free version of the AI in there that we're using right now, but you can also download an extension and you can connect your Claude subscription or your OpenAI subscription to it. So basically that leaves us with 3 options, which is option 1, what we just did. If you have a 20 euro OpenAI subscription anyway, why not use this option? And if you have a Claude subscription, why not use this option? And this is fairly simple. You just go in here and there will be extensions, right? So you see here you have a menu, you have specific things, and one of them is extensions. And you can look for the extensions for either Claude. So it will tell you Claude Code, that's the name. Go for the one with a lot of downloads and you install it. The one for ChatGPT is called Codex. You will see a lot of downloads. This is the OpenAI Codex. You download it, and what will essentially happen, it will just open the same chat window that we have here, but using your model. So the workflow is exactly the same. The only difference is that we're opening now here on the side, for example, Codex, the ChatGPT one, and we can open it, now maybe make it a little bit bigger, and then you will have a chat window just the same way that we have it here. You could even use both and kind of compare. And here you see you have access to all the models, even the higher ones, and they will improve your outcome actually by quite a bit. So this is the only caveat. This one, perfectly fine for a simple website. But if you already have the subscription for either of these, just go ahead and use this method instead. So what is up next in part 2 and in part 3? And part 2 is going to be a little bit more about the advanced workflow. So we saw that this is a very basic website. And we see that there's, of course, a few ways to make it better. First of all, plan it better, give a lot more context, what we talked about with the plan mode and with a few questions that we need to answer. Then you can choose a better model. And these two will already give you a lot better results. But also, you can follow a better workflow. So you can first design, you can really conceptualize, you can think about it. So this is what part 2 is really about. If you are happy with the results that you get from part 1, I think for most people this is going to be fine. But for some people that really want to have a little bit more of an elaborate flow, this might help. Also, when we're going into the difference between a website and a web app. So do we just want a website for marketing purposes? Or is it going to be an actual product with logic, with a UX flow, with interaction, maybe at some point with data and users and all of these things? So if we get more elaborate, we definitely want to plan it a little bit better. So we want to think about designing, how do we create flows, how do we come up with features, all of these things. So in this part 2, we'll look at the advanced flow for all of this. It will build on this part 1, but it can certainly help you get better results. If you are, again, happy with the results that you get from your part 1, you can skip it and go to part 3. Because part 3 is how do we go from this strange looking link to an actual web link that would be, for example, mywebsite.com, right? So this part 1, you created your website, you build it all out here in Cursor, then we can preview it in localhost. So we have the build, run, preview, and then how do we go live? This is really the last 5%. Probably the video is going to take 5 minutes. Still worth having a separate video for. So for now, go ahead, build and preview, try it out. If you have a website that you like, that looks good, then we go into part 3 and see how we get it live.